Yo, what up, Street Talks there? Can't ride the thought. This one is about consistency. So I would say my main critique of just modern life and modern people and stuff like that is, especially with social media, people talk and act a certain way to you in your face, but behind closed doors they'll totally act and behave differently. Now, why is this a problem? This is a problem because, even for example, our best friend Mark Zuckerberg, who created Facebook, and Facebook owns Instagram, WhatsApp, and all the stuffs. So, on the outside he seems like such a nice guy, and and I always get like really kind of suspicious of guys who seem like too much like nice guys. So for example, even if you looked at the when he first made Facebook, and I think one of his early things when he made it as a student at Harvard was called Face Mash, which essentially he took a bunch of sexy Harvard girls' pictures without their permission, put it on their server, and you could essentially vote on who's hotter or not. And so I think that's not very cool. And also even in the early days of Facebook, I think he wrote a message like, oh, these dumb fucks, they gave me their email and personal information, they're so stupid, ha ha ha. So would you trust the opinion and the words of somebody who's kind of talking like this in private? And even Bill Gates, right? Seems like super nice philanthropist dude, making the world a better place, blah blah. But dude, the guy was like super evil when it came to like monopolies in Microsoft and Internet Explorer, super unsavory. And just read on what Steve Jobs has to say about Bill Gates. And actually, truth be told, I think Bill Gates wanted world dominance and cared so much about money, whereas and then it's funny because like everyone remembers Steve Jobs as the asshole, but I think Steve Jobs is such a better, much more stellar individual because he showed his flaws publicly and didn't hide them, whereas Bill Gates is trying to make his image like kind of spick-spack, and sometimes it's actually nice guys or nice looking peoples who actually do the worst harm. So there's a quote, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And so same thing with even Warren Buffett. We all praise Warren Buffett as the best guy ever, but the problem even with Senor Buffett is okay, so the guy's heavily invested in Coca-Cola and McDonald's, two corporations which have probably either directly or indirectly led to type 2 diabetes, which is reversible. It's based on insulin and sugar. Type 3 diabetes, which is essentially Alzheimer's. And the man himself drinks like Coke every single day, and if you look at his physiology, he's very overfat individual. He looks like he's in horrible physiological shape. So for a man who is propagating Coca-Cola shares and McDonald's shares, certainly his intentions, and the reason we praise him, oh, he's so austere, he lives in the same house, blah blah, but I'm like, dude, like, the only reason we praise and worship him is because he's one of the world's richest men, not necessarily because, just take a look at his portfolio, look at what he's investing in. It's like, do you think that's good for society? I don't think so. But anyways, so, and this is where I would actually respect and trust Kanye more, because, dude, he's publicly admitted everything that, he's like, on Pornhub and whatever. And think about it this way, like, even Mark Zuckerberg, right? This is where I feel like he's so disingenuous. He's bought that crazy Hawaii thing so he could have his privacy, right? But his company makes quadrillions of dollars a year through making all people's public things very private things very public. And truth be told, this is a tricky thing, I don't think Mark Zuckerberg is actually probably a bad person. I think he's actually just like a nerd with good intentions. But even in the early days of Facebook, he was super anti putting ads on Facebook because he thought ads were lame. But once, you know, Facebook becomes a publicly traded company, what is the goal of Facebook and stuff like that is to maximize profits. And so, you know, I tend to think that actually people don't really get corrupted with money and power. It just augments a little bit more of what they already have. But now the problem is, once again, you kind of have a bunch of these nerds with good intentions who just kind of like pervert the world in ways that they think was best for society. So like Mark Zuckerberg wants all humans to be connected. And you know, like, once again, like, seems very noble and good, but you know, Facebook in some ways has become digital colonialism 2.0 insofar much as, you know, all these developing economies, they're so reliant on Facebook Messenger, even Vietnam, right? Like, everyone has Facebook everything and is dependent on Messenger to do business and everything. But it was funny because like one day that the government even shut down Facebook. What happened? The whole economy lost like, I don't know, however much money, because, you know, no one in Vietnam was able to access Facebook or Messenger for an entire day. So once again, like, I don't think this is Mark trying to be evil or anything like that. Is that just the way that the structure is set up, and because the world is run on Google Ads, you know, Google AdSense, this is just what the world has become. So, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, I don't believe in Earth death. I think everything will be fine. I'm much more optimist. I guess where I'm just like a little bit like a pessimist is, I think a lot of people's good intentions is actually making society more lame, uninteresting, and kind of a little bit boring. So I'm all for a society with much more interesting individuals. So share your thoughts, don't censor yourself, and be dope.